now. The yarn is in here and it's protected from spills and such. Hello, welcome. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, where I talk about all the crafty goodness that I've been up to over the past couple weeks. Today, I believe, is March 6th. Yeah, it's March 6th. It's March already. Wow. I have an episode today full of knitting for you. I have a finished object, some fun new cast-ons. I think I have 2 or 3 new cast-ons, so it's going to be a new start heavy episode, so I hope you're looking forward to that. Let's jump on into some announcements really quick. First of all, there are some places you can find me on the internet. birchandlilyfiber.com is the main one, and you can also find me on Instagram at birch.and.lily. Everything will be linked down below in the description, including everything that I talk about today in this episode. I did also want to quickly say that the giveaway winner from my 4,000 subscriber giveaway, Leanne Lang, has not contacted me, so I'm going to pop that name up on the screen again. Leanne, you have 2 more weeks to contact me, so by the next time I record a sit-down podcast episode, if I haven't heard from you by then, I will be drawing a new winner, because yeah, I think it's only fair. So if you are Leanne, please contact me at my email down below in the description. One other thing before we jump on in, there is a shop update coming on March 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I have some yarn that I am putting up into the shop for a new update. So if you are interested in seeing that, wait until the end of this episode, and I am going to be going through all of the skeins quickly for you here on YouTube. Okay, so that is all I have for announcements. Should we jump into my finished object? Because I think I finish a sweater every time I record now, which is crazy. I should also apologize before I jump any further into this. I don't know if you can tell, I can hear it. I am so stuffed up. I just took like maybe half an hour ago a real good dose of Quill, so I'm hoping it holds through recording this episode, but I've had a really nasty cold the past little while, so I hope I don't sound too ridiculous. Hopefully we can get through this. I haven't been coughing much today. I'm mostly stuffed up, so that's a start. We'll see how this goes. But Seaway pullover. I finished my Seaway pullover, so I will stand up and show you. So I literally just finished blocking this. It might even possibly be slightly damp still, but that's okay. I finished it on Saturday and then waited a really long time to weave in the ends and was like, crap, I'm gonna want to wear it on the podcast. I better block this. So I did. I think it's just the sleeves that are ever so slightly damp. But this is my Seaway pullover. I tested this pattern for Ozetta. It should be coming out pretty soon. I know I needed to have it knit by the 15th of March, so I'm thinking a couple days after the 15th, the pattern should be available for everyone else. But it's so beautiful. So I knit this out of actually a color that's going to be in the update this weekend called Petrichor. And I used DK weight yarn. I think I had the tiniest bit of yarn left on my 5th skein. So I used basically 5 skeins for this. I knit the second size. The size range is weird for this because there's a broader difference in like measurement between each size. So there's like a small, and then I think an extra small, and then like a small medium, and then a large extra large. So I knit a size 2, which is not usually what I would knit, but I'm happy with the fit. I think I have about 2 to 4, I haven't fully measured it, but I'm gonna guess probably 4 inches of positive ease on that, and I quite like how that fits. The sleeves did come out maybe a wee bit long, but we'll see. They slide up and hold relatively well, so I think they should be fine. I am looking at wearing this as more of like a cozy sweater anyways, so, and I don't really like to wear my hand knits doing like work around the house either, so I think it should be fine. It's not going to be something that I'm doing like lots of work in and having to worry about rolling up my sleeves a lot. And they are like a really cozy, like tuck your hand in length. So I like that. But yeah, beautiful. The cables really relaxed nicely once I blocked it, which I knew would happen, but it's always so nice to see it finished. Let me sit down and we'll continue talking. So I only made one modification for this pattern. The pattern did call to have like a basically double this length, like a turtleneck. So I ended up folding and then tacking down that full length just because I learned knitting, I think it's the port sweater. I learned knitting the port sweater. I don't look great with turtlenecks. So I just preemptively went and tacked this one down, and I knew I would be much happier with it, and I am. Otherwise, I knit everything to pattern. It has beautiful, really long cuffs and a really nice long hem. Everything is finished off with a tubular bind off. Obviously, I didn't do it on the neckline here because I knew I was tacking it down, so what's the point of putting in all that effort? Because the tubular bind off takes a really long time. It is a sewn bind off. But yeah, I also wrote down, I thought it might be interesting, that I started this sweater on February 14th and I finished it on March 4th. So just under a month of knitting, I guess. I did pretty monogamously knit on this. I would switch out to things once in a while, switch out to other things rather, but I pretty monogamously knit this. But I will say the pattern repeat was so easy to memorize, and the majority of this is stockinette. You're not cabling very often, so I do think it went pretty fast, and I was able to memorize the pattern repeat. So like once I got past, so this is, let's start this over. This is knit, you knit the back panel first and then attach the two fronts on, connect them in the middle, knit a little bit further, connect it in the round, and then start knitting in the round. So once I got all past that fiddly stuff at the beginning, it was literally just knitting in the round for the sleeves and the body, which is really, really mindless and quite fast. So I think that's part of the reason I got it done so quickly, but also I just love this yarn. I'm so proud of this color. I had something in mind in my head and I was like, this is what I really want. I want like a sagey color, but I want it quite like grayed out. And I think I did a good job with that. So yeah, oh, it's so soft. I think this would be beautiful too. So like this is DK, but if you knit this up with like a fingering weight and a Suri held double, I think that would be gorgeous too. It would just like make such a soft, squishy garment. So beautiful, beautiful sweater. Should be coming out very soon. But yeah, I love Ozetta's patterns. They're all like kind of this shape where they're big and squishy and warm and cozy. And that is like totally me in a nutshell. So very, very pleased with how this turned out. Oh, I should also say I did use my trick again where I knit all of my ribbing inside out, and it just ends up looking so much neater that way. Like if you look at the, roll up the cuff, that's what my technical right side of 1x1 ribbing looks like, and look how much neater it looks when I do it inside out. So all I do right before I start the ribbing, I do a quick German short row and then just start knitting it inside out basically. And then depending on what kind of bind off I'm doing, with the tubular bind off, I don't even do a German short row to get like back to going to on the knitting the right way. I just start doing the tubular bind off on the right side, if that makes sense. If I was to bind, like just be doing a normal bind off, sometimes I just bind it off from the wrong side. Sometimes I'll do a German short row quickly and then start binding it off. It kind of depends on what I'm feeling like and how much effort I want to put in. But either way, ribbing looks so much neater. I don't hate 1x1 ribbing anymore. I was not a fan of it before because it was so messy, but this makes it look really neat and polished. So love that trick. Enough about my Seaway pullover that I'm so happy with, and even wearing it now, saying those sleeves were too long, I don't think they are. I kind of like it, so we'll see. Anyways, let's jump into works in progress. We'll start with a new cast on. So if you've watched the past couple episodes, you'll know that I'm knitting through my Woolberry Fiber Co. and of Green Gables sock sets. So I have cast on sock set number 2. They're both attached to the sock right now. This here is called Lake of Shining Waters. It is blowing out ever so slightly. It's not terrible. That's a little blown out, but Lake of Shining Waters. And I don't have a ton of progress done on the socks yet. I kind of just cast them on and did the cuff, and then I've been working away on my Seaway pullover, so they haven't got much love. And somehow in that small amount of time they've got really tangled up on my needles. So I'll just do the best I can to make this look half decent. But there we are. So these are, yeah, that's still tangled out of its mind, but these are the day hike socks. Oh, the color work, just the way this sock set is quite subtle. And then the camera blowing out a little bit is making it even worse to see. But I'll have popped a picture on the screen of the pattern, I'm sure. But day hike socks, I cast on 56 stitches for these. And if you can see, it's got like a broken rib. So you only purl every second round, which I think is really neat. It just gives a whole bunch of texture in the cuff there. And yeah, not, like I said, not tons done on them, but they are cast on, and then I figure if I feel like working on them, the hard part is done, the casting on is done, and they're easy to pick up. So this bag is from Birch Grove that they're in, and yeah, easy peasy cast on. Something else, I really only have worked on this one day. I picked it up last night and I was having a lot of fun with it. This is my Brooklyn haberdashery bag, of course. And I worked on my Amara sweater for a little bit. Here's the yarn I'm using. This is from Explore Knits and Fibers. It's called Fidah. And again, the lighting today is just subpar apparently, but it's like a cream and it's got all sorts of pale purples and blues, maybe a little bit of pink in there too. It's beautiful, really pretty. And where is my progress keeper on here? I don't know how everything is so tangled this time around. Goodness. I don't know what I've been doing putting projects in the bags, but tangly mess. This is where I am. So that little progress keeper there is where I was last time. So I've got maybe like an inch done, I think, about an inch. But I've almost finished like one whole repeat of like this diamond opening and closing, which is kind of fun. I think it's working up really nicely. It's cool to kind of see, like, it's not just a little tiny sliver of knitting anymore. I don't know. Knitting bottom up is so hard for me because it's so hard to envision like what's happening with the garment, because if you start something top down, you start to see the sleeves right away and all that, where this is just the big tube. So that's a fun thing, but this pattern is worth it. It's beautiful. I'm really loving it. It just takes a lot of paying attention, so I can only work on it at certain times. This is the back. It's got a really neat split hem where it's split like right down the center back, and it connects into that cable there. And then this is all brioche here. So I'm just gonna keep working away on it. I'm not terribly worried about it taking lots of time. This is the first major cable-y project I've done, so I'm just taking my time. I know it's a labor of love. I know it's going to take a long time because every single round has some sort of cabling in it, or almost every single round, so it's worth the work though. I'm knitting a size 4 for this. My gauge is way off. The pattern calls for, I think, 3 skeins of like a mohair or a Suri held triple, but I'm using just a DK weight, and so because of that, my gauge is definitely off, and just I think all the cables in the brioche are pulling it funny as well too. So I'm knitting a size 4, which I think is like a 52-inch bust circumference, but there's no way I'm gonna get 52 inches with that. When you look at like the brioche will grow some, but it's looking to be about the size of my Seaway pullover right now. And this, I think, has about 42, 44-ish inches in circumference. So there's no way I'm gonna get 52 out of this. Especially, I don't want to pull the brioche wide, I wanna pull it down because it is kind of lifting up a little bit right now. So when I block it, I'll be pulling it this way. So that's gonna take some of that width away from me as well. But yeah, I'm just kind of winging it. I'm loving it. If I work on this for a year, I work on this for a year. It's beautiful and it's been fun. So that is my Amara pullover sweater, Amara sweater. Everything's called something different. Yeah, it's fun. If I work on it once every couple weeks, I work on it once every couple weeks. It'll get done eventually. Saying that, I have so many cabled sweaters on my queue, but I think I'll stick with one cabled sweater at a time and kind of go from there. So I did cast on something else, and of course I'm looking at it and I'm in the middle of the round. Not that there's much to show on this anyways, but let me actually grab a couple uncaked up skeins of the yarn I'm using for this. I swear everyone has been talking about Purl Soho linen quill lately, and so I decided it was high time that I tried it. This is probably the best color representation we're gonna get today. But I decided it was high time I try it. And everyone has also been talking about the Half and Half triangles wrap, which is a free pattern from Purl Soho, and it uses linen quill. So I guess I should say linen quill is 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen. And I've never knit with linen, and I always heard it was rough on like people's hands. Now, maybe because this has 50% of a wool content, it's not bugging me so much, but I really haven't had any issues working with it at all. I quite enjoy it, to be honest. But I have cast on a Half and Half triangles wrap using these two colors. So what are you called? This one is Oatmeal Gray and then Juniper Green. And saying that, they had a sale on linen quill and I bought more because I am enjoying knitting this so much. It's such a simple, mindless knit. You're literally just knitting back and forth. It's all garter. And then when you get to the end on the one side, you're just doing German short rows, and so it creates one big triangle, and then I can't remember exactly how you attach the second color, but then you create a second triangle off of that in the other color, and it makes one big huge square, and you can use it as a blanket or like a shawl or a wrap or whatever the heck you want. But I just have enjoyed working on this at night when we're watching a show or something, and I want to be able to pay attention to the show, but I want something to do with my hands. So I've been working on this. Now, saying that, I do also have my Musselburgh hat, but that I keep in my backpack, and so it's kind of nice to not have to pull that out when I want something mindless and then forget to put it in my backpack, because I would be really sad if I was somewhere and didn't have knitting. So this has been a nice like couch mindless knitting project. So yeah, I cast on with the Oatmeal, and I've been really enjoying it. It's got almost like a, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, like a barber pole thing going on with the color. So there, oh, maybe there's like a lighter and a darker color going throughout the yarn, and it's really pretty. I really like it. And like I said, I'm in the middle of the row. There's not a ton to see, but it's just garter knitting. So I'm sure I've popped a picture on the screen so you can see a little bit better what I've been working on, but I still have tons left in this first cake. So I am knitting, the pattern comes in two sizes, a large and an extra large. I'm knitting the extra large, so it calls for, I think, 3 skeins of each color. So this will be probably a long-term project, most definitely a long-term project, but it's been really, really fun, because sometimes I just don't want to think when I'm knitting. So this has been the perfect project for that. This bag is from that crafty little fox. I know this won't fit in here forever, but for now, the yarn is in here and it's protected from spills and such. Another project I have been working on is my Laneway sweater test knit. The bead on this hit my door. I I hope that wasn't too loud. But I have been working on this test knit now because this one is due mid-April. So this is kind of now my next focus knitting project. I'm knitting this out of 2 more colorways that are going to be in the update because I dye them up and then I want to knit with them right away. So this one here is called Serendipity and this one is called Euphoria. And I didn't put a progress keeper on this. We'll make sure we put a progress keeper on it this time. But I think I've got about like, I think I was about here last time. So I've got quite a bit done. It's quite smooshed on my needle. Well, I have a bit of space on my needle so we can spread this out a little bit more. It's still a little smooshed, but I've got quite a bit done. And I really like how it's knitting up. It kind of looks, because of the speckles in Euphoria, it kind of looks vintagey, and I like that. So this is my vintage Laneway sweater. But I'm still working away on the yoke. This is like a circular yoke sweater. It does have short row shaping in the back, so you have a little bit more of the main color showing in the back just so that it raises the sweater up on the back of your neck because we are shaped not perfectly flat on both sides. So you need a little bit more space in the back, so it does that. It's got a really nice purl bump detail going around just below the ribbing as well. I did knit this ribbing inside out also, so it looks really neat and tidy. And yeah, so this here is you're only knitting with one color at a time, and then these vertical stripes you're doing color work, but it's really simple, easy color work. So if you haven't knit color work before, this might be a great starting sweater to do so. And yeah, almost ready to split for the sleeves. I think I have like a repeat of this and then I split, I think is what it is. So not much more to do. While I'm looking at these stoppers on here, I know there's some people that follow me on YouTube but don't have Instagram. If you were interested in these corgi stitch stoppers and they were out of stock, they're back in stock. So I love them. I won't go too much into that because I don't want to be all advertising. I don't like my podcast to be advertising. I hate talking about stuff in the shop, but sometimes I have to, so I'm sorry. I try to keep it short. But yeah, I think that's about where I am with this. It's been really fun. I like the color. This, I think I'm knitting the 4th size. And the pattern comes with, actually, I'm gonna grab a progress keeper right now and then we'll talk. It's so hard to pick. I picked this little sheep from Denim and Rain. I don't think I've used him yet, so little snow sheep. What was I saying? Yeah, so I'm knitting the 4th size, but then within those like numbered sizes, there's also different yoke depths. So like a short, a medium, and a long, so you can get more of like a t-shirt fit or a fit kind of like this where there's like a little bit of space but not tons. Obviously it's gonna fit different because this is drop shoulder construction and this is a yoke, like a circular yoke, but you'll have like a little bit more space on the medium size, and then the large size, I think the way she put it is that it would fit more like a swancho almost. So I have decided to go for the medium depth, mostly because I think if I did the small, while I would probably think it would fit well, my bust is too big. So I think then I wouldn't have enough space in the bust and it would end up being too tight in the underarms and I would be unhappy. So I am going for the medium depth, medium yoke depth. Dang train. I'm sorry, I live near train tracks if you can't tell, and they always tend to show up when I'm recording. But yeah, medium yoke depth, and I'm knitting the size 4 on this. And it's been really fun. I love Sarah's patterns. She's really good at knitting sweater patterns. I do believe, or designing sweater patterns rather, knitting them too. But I do believe she was like a tech editor for a long time before she started coming out with patterns. So that obviously would be really helpful in coming out with beautifully written and inclusive and diverse patterns. So I love test knitting her patterns. And then my power has been out twice in the past 2 weeks, both times for about 24 hours. And I felt bad for myself, so I cast on another sweater. This project bag, oh gosh, where's this from? I haven't used it in a while. But I think there's a tag in it. Yes, the striped tangerine. Star Wars. And I am knitting a Lento sweater. I know there is a knit along going on for this. I think it ends very soon. But the Creabea podcast and someone else who I'm blanking on, we're getting together and doing a Lento cal. And I was just scrolling through the hashtag for it while I had no power and realized that the pattern was available in a copy of Lina magazine that I have. So I was like, hey, that's the perfect reason to cast it on. I don't even have to purchase the pattern, and I have yarn, I dye yarn, so I cast on a Lento. Now this, because everything is blown out, I know is not going to show the colors at all. That shows it a little better. So I am using my Sugarplum Fairy colorway on both my fingering and Suri bases, so I'm holding them double, and that gives you an idea of what it looks like. It's the most pale pastel-y colors. And I've always wanted a sweater that just looks like cotton candy. I am not really that type of person per se, but I just have always really wanted one. And so I figured this was a good way to do it because I only need, for my size, I'm knitting the size 3, and I only need 3 skeins of fingering and 3 skeins of Suri. So it's actually really not that yarn heavy when you think about it, because a lot of sweaters, if you're holding Suri and something double, you're ending up using like probably 4 skeins of Suri and like 5 skeins of the other yarn. So this is pretty, oh, you can kind of see the pastel, sorry, getting distracted. This is pretty light on the yarn usage. The gauge is really loose on it as well, which I kind of liked because it will be a nice like winter into spring transition piece is my hope. So I have cast it on. I think the gauge is like 15 stitches per 4 inches. But yeah, you can kind of see the pastel goodness going on. If I bring it too close, it kind of goes away. So this is my Lento, and I've been liking the pattern so far, but I did find, and I don't know if it's just in my copy because it's in the magazine, and obviously like I don't have any errata or anything in there, so there could be mistakes. But after I did the short rows, which did have some raglan increases on them, and then I went to go work in the round, the raglan stitches didn't match up, which was frustrating. Now I've knit enough that I was able to go in and just fiddle and fix it and make it work. But if you haven't knit before, I don't know if this is the pattern, but like if you haven't knit a raglan before, rather, I don't know if this is the pattern for you because your raglan stitches won't match up once you go to knit in the round. And if you don't know how to fix that, you'd be quite frustrated. You can kind of see the pasteliness, kind of, sort of. Anyways, otherwise really enjoying it. It's just a super simple raglan, but something about how the gauge works just perfectly with the fingering and the Suri to give this like really light, airy fabric. This is really nice. And like I said, since I had the pattern available, and I've really been wanting to knit something up with Sugarplum Fairy, like held a merino skein and a Suri skein held double, I figured this was the perfect way to do it because it didn't use very much yarn. So yeah, I have probably, I think, like 5 more repeats to do to increase the raglan, and then I'll be splitting for the sleeves. And I really enjoy it. It's so soft. It feels like a cloud. It literally feels like a cloud. Also, I got a new stitch marker in the mail from Hello Lavender, from her, I don't think it's called Leave No Trace, maybe it is, but she uses up like leftovers from other collections. And so I got this absolutely adorable sweater, and it matches the sweater that I'm knitting. So I had to put it on. It's so cute. It's like a little rainbow sweater. So it had to become part of this project. So we'll move that up now. I just kind of put it on there, obviously, because I haven't shown it at all on here. So it's not really marking any progress at the moment, but now it will be for next episode. So yeah, fun pattern, but I wouldn't cast it on unless you know how to fix that oopsie with the raglan thing, because that's not great. But stitches work otherwise. It just, like, stitch counts are right. Just the raglan stitches don't line up, and I don't know why. So that is that. But let's see. That's all I have for works in progress. So I guess if you're not interested in yarn update stuff, you can head on out. Thank you so much for joining me if you aren't interested in yarn update. And I will see you next week. I guess I could give a sneak peek at what next week's episode is going to be. I have pulled 10 different free knitting patterns that only use one skein of yarn, which I thought would be a really fun way to go through your stash and use up some of those single skeins. So if you're interested in that, definitely come back next Tuesday to see that. And otherwise, let's jump into yarn update. I always carry stuff around in laundry baskets. It's both convenient and kind of fun. So, but I don't think I can keep this on my lap. That's not gonna work. Anyways, I think I have everything dyed up on all my bases except for one color. But I still have one skein of it, so I can still show what it looks like. Anyways, I still have a wee bit more dyeing to do before Friday. But once again, the update is Friday, March 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I will have a limited stock of all of these colors, but I'll also do a pre-order for everything as well. So pre-order turnaround time honestly will probably be anywhere from like a week to 2 to 3 weeks. It won't be that big. But yeah, if you're interested in something and I don't have enough skeins or whatever, I will happily pre-order, like dye them for you. Yeah, anyways, rambling. Let's get into the yarn, Amanda. Now let's, oh gosh, because this is blowing out so bad. Oh dear, this is gonna be fun. Okay, if we go all the way back here, it looks accurate. So we're just gonna go back here, and I apologize for that. So this is the colorway that my sweater is knit in. This is Petrichor. I will have it on Birch Suri, Birch DK, and Birch Fingering. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful tonal with the slightest little bit of variation. Obviously, it's a tonal. It's impossible to dye a yarn perfectly solid. So Petrichor, I think I'll go through all my tonals first. This one here is Serendipity, so that's the yarn I was using in my Laneway sweater. Everything will be available on all my bases. So yeah, see, oh, that one's not as bad if I get super close. Okay, so that is Serendipity. And then the final tonal, I only have one skein of this dyed up right now. I have more dyed, but they're drying right now. So this is Graphite. If you remember my downtown hoodie, this was the main color on my downtown hoodie. Back here is accurate. Then it starts to blow out, but yeah, back here. So this will, oh, it matches my curtain kind of well. This will also be available on all the bases. This is just on Birch DK right here. I will have 2 different speckled colors. So this kind of shows you the, this one's gonna blow out like nobody's business. This here is called Wanderlust. So it's a whole bunch of rainbow speckles with a nice gray, variegated, very pale background. This is actually relatively accurate. If you want to see more accurate photos, check out my Instagram. Even if you don't have Instagram, if you go to instagram.com/birch.and.lily on your computer, you'll still be able to look through all my Instagram posts. You just won't be able to like or comment or anything. but I have really accurate photos on my Instagram, so that's a great place to get a more accurate look. And then finally, we have Euphoria. So this was the other color in my Laneway. It looks so pretty on Suri. But yeah, that is it. Ooh. On all my bases. And then there is also available in the shop, like I said, the stitch markers are updated or back in stock. And I also have undyed Suri available in the shop as well. I have discounted the price of the undyed Suri because I haven't done anything but wind it and prep it. So if you're interested in trying out Suri but you don't want to pay the price of dyed Suri, there's undyed Suri in the shop as well. So that is everything in my shop update. Maybe I can grab one of each skein. Let's see. Question is, ooh, I can almost hold it all in one hand. So that's everything in the shop update. All blowing out, of course. There. Yeah, I am really pleased with this update. I think I'm finally starting to find my stride. So that is that. Anyways, yeah, that is all I have for this episode. I really appreciate you joining me. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. It's super easy and it helps me out a lot. I will see you again next Tuesday for that free pattern video, and in 2 weeks for another podcast episode. Bye.